Final matchup in the Sweet 16. Final spot of the Elite 8 on the line. We have Mad Max Fury Road, and it's specifically the sequence, and it cuts actually pretty well, of the tanker being dropped off to the biker clan when they blow the land bridge and they blow the road up, through when Rosie Huntington Whiteley goes under the wheels. She's the pregnant bride of Immortan Joe. She goes under the wheels in that big crash, and that's where that scene pretty much ends. It's one of the few scenes in the tournament that is a 2-clip scene, and it's ironic because it's going up against one of the other fucking movies that's a 2-clip scene. Mad Max got here by beating out the train wreck from The Fugitive and the trench scene from Wonder Woman, which again is an underrated pair of really good scenes.
Yep, that's a good path.
Now it takes on the Ride of the Rohirrim from Lord of the Rings: The Return of the King, which got here by beating out the splitting of the Titanic from Titanic and the Catacombs Escape shootout from John Wick 2, which I already said I think is the peak of the entire franchise of John Wick. How do you score Mad Max in Return of the King?
6-4, Lord of the Rings.
I surprise you. I went 6-4 Mad Max.
Oh, okay.
So, I've said this multiple times on multiple podcasts. Lord of the Rings, favorite story of all time. Most important single story ever to me. I'm far more emotional and attached to Return of the King.
Mm-hmm.
I can't not get goosebumps and I get tears in my eyes every time I hear that speech from Theoden. And I start chanting death in my living room every time I do it, because I'm just like, yes! In watching it, I will say the peak of that scene is the speech. In my opinion, it's a lot of fun and it's still great to see. And again, Eowyn, the way we broke it down is it's the ride through the Oliphants come in, or the Mumakil, or the Mumakil if you want to say that. And it's essentially to when Eowyn takes out Gothmog, the really ugly looking fucking orc. That's the way that scene is cut in the two scenes I've provided.
Oh, I watched definitely Eowyn defeating the Witch King.
I thought that was too much of an ad for the Witch King. Which if I've set you up for failure here, my apologies. Because there's too much that happens there.
I'm gonna switch mine to a 5-5 split then.
Okay, so we have a Mad Max victory.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Yeah.
Because the other thing, when I was looking at it, is the action's great in Return of the King. I don't want to say anything negative about Return of the King. I've said this before also. If you believe in the Oscars hype, it has an argument for being the best movie of all time. Straight up, it does if you believe in the Oscars as a merit system.
Yeah.
So, there's just something where it gets that epic battle done properly. In a way that is perfect. Every character gets a moment to shine. It's just the one thing I had to say was the action of Mad Max was so refined. And there's still so many great action moments and character moments to really get you to focus on Max and Furiosa that are impeccable to me, that I love.
Okay, so we can't take context into this, right?
Generally, well, I mean, because stakes, we've been talking about stakes, you need context for the stakes, right?
So what I was going to say is for Lord of the Rings, the thing they do so well, which keeps that battle moving and it keeps it interesting the entire time, is they're really good at creating peaks and then valleys.
Yes.
They're
it's
really
Peter
good
Jackson's specialty.
They're really good at giving you really good heroic moments and then just giving you a real downer.
Mm-hmm.
And right before the riders of Rohan come and they give that speech, Gandalf gets his staff broken.
Oh yeah, so, I know.
It's a real downer. So
well, yeah, because you believe the white light that has never been beaten gets beaten, you're like, we're fucked.
Yeah, exactly. So like I would argue the stakes feel a lot higher in the Lord of the Rings than it does in Mad Max.
Yes.
It's a lot more clearly defined as well, because I don't know what is Max's goal overall. Mad Max, just a freedom, right? Kind of.
Just wants to be alone. Just wants
Yeah,
to drive.
Furiosa is really the hero.
Oh
Really,
yeah, Max is the drifter. Max is the
yeah,
drifter character. He's not the. It's just he's been the center of the first three, so it's a Mad Max
yeah,
movie. You're like, yeah, but it's about Furiosa, but it's Mad Max. Like,
yeah. Um, so that's another thing going for Lord of the Rings. That's why I say, like, if we're not going to include Eowyn and the Witch King, also Mary, gotta include him.
yep,
He helps. He helps.
he helps.
Um, if we're not going to include that, I'm fine with splitting it. So
So the reason I went with that again is if we include the Witch King, I just feel that's really two extra scenes that aren't the ride of the Rohirrim. It becomes the aftermath of what happens because of them, sort of. Because I know I first brought it up. I think I'm the one who fucked you up for it. Was because I was like, oh, it's not that long, and it's just like Duel of the Fates, and we did the whole Duel of the Fates. But then I was looking at it, I was just like, that's like 20 minutes of film
well, see,
interspliced together.
the way I thought of it is cutting once Aragorn shows up,
Yeah.
because that's really like the end of the Rohan part. You
Yes.
know?
The Rohirrim save everyone's ass, but it's not the reason they win.
Yeah.
It's the reason they're allowed to win later, but it's not the reason
But
they're about to
but
win.
you do have a good point. That is a large percentage of the
And
battle.
and
So
that's the thing is I think Eowyn's scene by itself is so good and so far removed. Like you got to get Theoden getting taken out by the Nazgul. It's so much. Where
yeah,
you have a cap here with Eowyn taking out Gothmog, you're like,
that's true.
it's
You could
it's
argue
my
that
shield
scene
maiden. Fucking
You
love
could
that woman.
argue that, yeah, you could argue that scene being on the tournament itself.
And that's why I just go,
I love that morning star that the Witch King has,
oh, it's rad.
where it digs into the ground. It's so awesome.
It's fucking radical. And again, Peter Jackson, more so than we said this in the past, rival or might even beat Spielberg in this specific category, making sure everybody gets a great moment to shine. Like, he rivals him in
Mm,
that aspect in terms of the Lord of the Rings, where it's like, Eowyn
I think
gets such clear moments. Mary gets such clear moments. Eomer gets such clear moments.
I think it's because he knows Lord of the Rings so well. Because when you do it with something like The Hobbit, where he's creating a lot of the lore,
He has to
like,
add to the battle, yes.
yeah, where he has to add to the source material, it doesn't come off as well.
Yeah, some of them work, some of them don't. Sure,
Yeah.
I understand that. But specifically in that trilogy, I don't know if it's
Yeah.
ever been done better.
Lord of the Rings, I completely agree. Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, how do you not fall in love with Eowyn when she gets such a wonderful, caring moment to start, but then she gets great moments where she's riding under the Oliphant and she's really smart, pulling all these options out, and then you just see that no, she's a badass. This is who she is,
Yeah, she takes one of them down.
and she's the fucking shield maiden of Rohan. All love to you, my lady. It's great. And I will say the new Lord of the Rings, War of the Rohirrim animated film. It's if you're a Lord of the Rings fan, you can have some fun with it. I don't think it's spectacular. One of the best parts is the fact that Miranda Otto comes back to be the narrator, which is just like you have Lady Eowyn telling, the
Hey, you know
story of
what
the
else?
Rohirrim. You're like, nice.
You know what else she's in? Talk
Do
to Me.
oh, she's in Talk to Me. Okay, which you fucking
Yeah.
love is the other movie that you won't shut the fuck up about until to the point. Great inside baseball note for all of our listeners. Dylan has now started harassing my wife to get me to watch that movie. Where he's now
Yeah,
started texting my wife Ab saying, "Yo, get Evan to watch this movie."
it's great.
You
It's a
love
great
it.
movie.
So we're gonna go Mad Max here again. I think the use of action, cinematography, and also the stunt work is second to none in Mad
Agree.
Max.
I
So
agree with that.
Mad Max will win 11-9, and it's going to take on Saving Private Ryan. And I think that's a true competition, mostly because I think there is two people with very different tastes in terms of these scenes. So it's going
Yeah.
to be fun.